I'm Katy Wells, host of the Maximized Minimalist podcast. I escaped the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood, overwhelmed by clutter and buried under the mental load. Now I live in a home that feels calm, manageable, and made for real life. I have margin in my days, energy for who matters most, and time for slow mornings and silly dance parties in the kitchen with my family. With over 5 million listens, the show has helped women around the world turn their homes into their happy place. Around here, we simplify for more peace, more presence, and more joy. We choose grace over guilt and progress over perfection. And we believe your home should give back more than it takes. I'm here to help you do the same. Come along with me and my guests as we share the real stories, habits, and strategies that help you lighten the load from the inside out. Pull up a seat, friend, and let's do this together. Ready, set, simplify. Over the past 8 years, I've worked with thousands of families on their clutter. And I think a lot of us, if we're being honest, look at people whose homes have actually transformed and stayed declutter and tell ourselves a story. Number one, that they must have something we don't, or that their life is just so much easier than mine. That something about their situation gave them a leg up and they were able to declutter and simplify. I used to wonder the same thing. So I started paying attention. And over the last several years, I watched my clients really closely. And here is what I found. It wasn't that they had more time. It wasn't that their life is less chaotic. And it wasn't that they have more supportive partners or easier kids. And it also wasn't that they're just more naturally organized. In fact, some of my most successful clients have walked through the hardest seasons I've ever witnessed. Job loss, illness, grief, divorce, the kind of events that would give anyone a reason to stop, but they didn't. And over years of just paying attention, I noticed the same traits show up over and over in every person whose home got and stayed clutter-free. So today I'm going to break down all 6 with you. And I'll tell you too, the 6th one I think might be the most important one of them all because it's the one that really holds everything else together when life falls apart. So I'm excited to get into it. Let's go. The first thing I noticed is that my clients learn to trust themselves, not in some abstract confidence way. I mean, they trust themselves when it comes to their own stuff, their own space, and their own life, even when that means letting go of something their mom would have kept, or keeping something a minimalist would have tossed, or doing this work in a way that looks nothing like what the latest Pinterest board or TikTok reel is selling as the quote unquote right way. Here's what self-trust looks like in practice. They're not looking around the room for permission before starting or before making a decision. They're not texting someone, their friend, a photo of every single item asking them what they should do. They're not scrolling Instagram for a rule that they need to follow in order to take action. They know their life, they know their season, and they've made peace with the fact that they're the only person who can really make the call about what belongs in their own home. And that sounds simple, but for some of us, it's not, because a lot of us were taught that our judgment about our own stuff we weren't taught, that our judgment about our own stuff was trustworthy. We were taught to defer, to keep things just in case, to just go off our natural psychological biases. Like we are wired to hold on to stuff in so many ways and to hold what someone else gave us. Sometimes gifts, think about gifts. Maybe you keep it because you think it's rude to let it go. All these different examples are where self-trust is really the solution. And in this context, I think it's a bit of a rebellion against all of that. Our stuff story, right? You cannot create a simplified home that truly fits your life by following someone else's rules about what should be in it or always needing other people's approval before letting go of your own stuff. So that's the first one. Now I want to break down the second because I know it's one most people don't consider and totally underestimate. They can let go of who they used to be. This one is so much bigger because so much of what sits in our closets, in our garages, our basements, our cupboards. It's not about the stuff. It's about the version of ourselves we're still holding on to through the stuff. I.e., if you've been around here for a while, that is one of the main clutter types I talk about, identity clutter. These are the corporate dress pants from the job you left 6 years ago, the running gear from the phase when you were training for that half marathon, the pregnancy clothes you kept after you decided years ago you were done having babies, maybe the guitar you bought in your 20s that you never really played. None of these things are the real thing you're really keeping or clinging to. You're keeping the version of yourself who wore them, used them, or believe you'd become someone through using them. The people whose homes get and stay clutter-free have made peace with being in motion. They don't grip the old version of themselves through their stuff. They let the object go because they've already let the identity evolve into who they are. We don't just hold on to stuff, right? We hold on to versions of ourselves. Now, let me be honest with you. This work does take a touch of what I call emotional archaeology. You have to be willing to pick something up and ask not just like, is this useful? Or whatever question you like to ask, but who was I when I kept this? And am I still her? I can honor that phase or identity in my life and still let it go, move forward. That's deeper work than most decluttering content ever asks of you. But the leaps and bounds my clients make when they're willing to do it, I'm telling you, it is so life-giving. And I've experienced this firsthand too, because it's not just physical space we're creating, it's the mental space. Identity clutter takes up room in your head the same way it takes up room on your shelves. When you let go of these objects tied to older versions of yourself, you are freeing up both. Number 3 is they've gotten so good at deciding. So good at deciding. A lot of us have major deciding problems. The same sweater gets picked up, considered, and put back into your closet a dozen times, even though you know on paper it's clutter. The donate bag sits by the door for 3 weeks. Items get fished out of it at midnight because, oh, you know what? I changed my mind. Maybe I am going to need this someday. Every time we don't decide or redecide, we're spending energy that we don't have on decisions we've already made. And over time, that trains your brain to believe that decluttering is exhausting and impossible, and it's just too hard for me. It's not too hard for you. It's just that most of us are carrying the weight of the same decisions or lack of decisions, which is a decision in and of itself. I don't know, I'm going to put this back. I did that 8 bajillion times with the same thing. Oh my gosh, talk about decision fatigue, mental clutter. The people whose homes, again, get and stay clutter-free have gotten faster and sometimes ruthlessly efficient at deciding. They can look at something, they can make the call, they can move on, and they don't reopen the donation bag. Here's what I want you to hear though. They don't become decisive by accident. They did it by building their declutter toolbox, right? Because deciding quickly isn't about being cold or callous or rushing. It's about having the right frameworks in place so that when you pick up that sweater or that coffee mug or that graduation hat, you have something to lean on that helps you decide in seconds instead of spiraling for 20 minutes and saying, I don't know, I'm just going to put this back. This is one of the reasons it's so important. A decision you keep revisiting isn't a decision, it's an open loop. And the only way to close that loop is to build the tools and use the tools that let you decide once and trust yourself to have decided. Before we get into the next 3, I want to tell you about something I use in my own home every single day. I used to wake up sneezing and congested every single morning. This is when I started looking into air quality and discovered Air Doctor. This is the only air purifier we use in our home now. And we all, my husband, my kids, and I noticed a difference within days. First, with number 1, the odors. We have 2 boys, 2 cats. We cook a lot. Need I say more? The lingering smell that used to hang around is gone pretty quickly. Second, our allergies, and we are in allergy season here in North Carolina, have calmed down so significantly. I used to wake up congested every single morning. Andrew would be blowing his nose all night long, keeping me awake. And that is not happening anymore. And third, I'm sleeping better. I didn't even connect it to air quality at first, but it definitely makes sense. When you're breathing cleaner air, like your body can rest at night. Here's what sets Air Doctor apart. They have a powerful 3-stage filtration that captures particles about 100 times smaller than what typical air purifiers can remove. We're talking dust, pollen, mold spores, pet dander, wildfire smoke, bacteria, viruses, odors, ozone, and VOCs, which are off gas from furniture and cleaning products. Unlike other air purifiers we've had in the past, it is so quiet, you barely know it's running. Plus, it has an auto mode feature, which I love, that adjusts to keep your air optimal 24/7. And it also reminds you when to change the filter, so there's like no guesswork. 98% of Air Doctor customers say their home air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier, and I would agree. And Air Doctor also just won Newsweek's Reader's Choice Award for Best Air Purifier. So head to airdoctorpro.com, use promo code MAX to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and a 3-year warranty, an $84 value for free. So get this exclusive podcast only offer now at airdoctorpro.com and use promo code MAX. Take it from my podcast listener, Pamela, who just DM'd me this week saying, by far, the Air Doctor Purifier has been my best purchase of 2026. Okay, back to the list. We covered the first 3. They trust themselves, they can let go of who they used to be, and they've gotten really good at deciding. And the next 3 we're going to break down are about what keeps the work going. The people whose homes get and stay clutter-free work in rhythm, not in overhauls. This is the one that flies in the face of almost every piece of decluttering content out there, because we've been sold and continue to be sold that it's all about the dramatic weekend overhaul, the before and after photos, the 12 bags out the door by Sunday night. And then what? I'll tell you what, they walk into their house 6 weeks later or less, and it looks the same as it did before, maybe worse, because now they feel like they failed at something they should have figured out by now. The overhaul mode is a trap. It teaches us decluttering is this finite, dramatic event where we either win or we lose. But the people whose homes really transform aren't doing more. They're doing less more often. 15 minutes on a Tuesday, 1 drawer on a Sunday, a bag by the door every week instead of every 6 months. Here's the reality. Doing it this way is not glamorous. It doesn't photograph well. But the compounding of small, consistent rhythm is what transforms a home over time. Apply that towards any goal in life, truly. Focus on your trajectory, not your position. One of my favorite James Clear quotes. This kind of steady rhythm done over months will get you further than any one weekend overhaul ever could. And here's what's so beautiful about working in rhythm. It naturally turns decluttering from a project into a process, which it should always be because it's ongoing in nature. Just because something served you 6 months ago doesn't mean it's serving you today. I still ongoing let go of stuff. And when it's worked into your rhythm, you don't have to second guess. You just do. The next one, they're always leveling up. Oh my gosh, always leveling up. A few months ago, I did a podcast and my analogy here was like old school, like Mario Super Nintendo. Each of the levels gets a little bit harder. And when I was a kid, I was like, these are getting too hard. I'm just going to have my brother like help me. And I'd pass the remote to him, which gave me no skill set to actually keep going. So I stayed at like level 1 or level 2. And I was like, man, this isn't really as fun anymore, right? A lot of us do the same thing with decluttering. You're probably really good at tackling maybe surface area clutter or superficial clutter, the easy low-hanging fruit, the obvious excess, the obvious broken, the trash. Like a lot of us are pretty good. But if you never level up and focus on scarcity clutter, sentimental clutter, identity, aspirational clutter, boy, it's always going to feel like an uphill battle. My clients, every single season, they sharpen, they spot clutter earlier, they cling to it less, they let go faster. What used to take them a full afternoon of agonizing last spring takes them 30 seconds this spring. This is the compounding reward as well of working in rhythm, which was number 4, right? It's the skill you build that nobody talks about because most people have only tried the overhaul mode. The overhaul resets, it gets you to 0 every time. And while it might photograph nice, you never see the growth because you're always starting over every 6 weeks or every 6 months. But the people who practice in rhythm develop what I call like a sharpened eye. They can walk through their home and they can tell you almost instantly what's working and what isn't. Is it a clutter issue? Is it a habit issue? Is it a systems issue? Is it an environmental design issue? I mean, hello, they can catch the pile forming before it becomes a pile. They notice the drawer getting tight before it overflows. Decluttering isn't a skill you learn once. It's a muscle you grow and strengthen, just like you need to learn new skills to progress in Super Mario. And the stronger you get, the more it really starts to protect you on the flip side of that. Yes, you make progress, but that sharpened eye is also your best defense against reaccumulating the same clutter over and over. And here's the last trait. And just like I said earlier, I think it's probably one of the most important because life is going to test every other trait that we've talked about so far. Trait number 6, they keep the gap short. So what do I mean by that? Life still happens to them. Job loss, divorce, illness, grief, a sick parent, a hard season with a child, a stretch where everything seems to fall apart at once. And I want to be so clear about this. The people whose home truly transform are not immune to any of it. They get knocked down. I got tears in my eyes because I have so many clients. I know this. They go through seasons where decluttering is the absolute last thing on the list. Sometimes they have to pause and they have to let that season be what it is. But here's the difference. They keep the gap short. They don't disappear for a year. They don't wait until everything is perfect again to get restarted. They don't start over from scratch every time. They take the pause, they give themselves the grace, and then as soon as they can, they come right back. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a month. Sometimes it's just one small drawer on a Sunday afternoon, and that's enough to signal to themselves they're back in it and back in the rhythm. I think when it comes to consistency, a lot of us think the goal is to be perfect or to never fall off. But really the goal is to keep that gap short between stopping and restarting. If you are in a hard season right now, I want you to hear me. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to take your foot off the gas pedal and not and coast if you need to. You are allowed to put down this work while you carry what you're carrying. But when you're ready, even a little bit, we got to come back to it, right? We got to start small, one drawer, one bag, one shelf, one decision. So there they are, 6 things I've noticed over and over, time and time again, in every person whose homes transform. They trust themselves. They can let go of who they used to be. They've gotten good at deciding. They work in rhythm, not in overhauls. They're always leveling up and they keep the gap short. By no means is this list exhaustive. But again, after having my eyes in probably thousands of homes at this point over the last 8 years, these are the traits I see time and time again. And I want you to notice something about this list. None of them are about having more time. None of these clients quit their jobs or waited till their kids were 18 and moved out until they had more quote unquote free time. Actually, a lot of my clients who are empty nesters are more busy in a lot of ways than my ones with raising young children. You do not gain more time in retirement. It seems like I'm noticing this. None of them are about having the right bins or the right, whatever, the one right method or the one right system. These are all internal and they are all skills and things that you can build. And they're already within reach for every single one of us. So if you've been telling yourself like I did that the people who really see success with their homes must have something you don't, I hope this episode gave you permission to just put that story down and pick up one or more of these traits. If this episode was the nudge you needed, I truly hope it was. I loved writing this one. I just had so much fun gathering this data for you, really. I want to meet you in the next step. Remember earlier when I talked about getting really good at deciding and how a big secret is having the right tools in your toolbox to help you decide faster? faster. So inside my membership Clutter Cure Club, that's exactly what we've built. One of my members' favorite resources is the decision card cheat sheets. They walk you through the exact types of clutter that are keeping you stuck and give you language, questions, and reframes to help you decide quickly, gently, and sometimes ruthlessly, because when you can decide faster, you can declutter faster. And when you declutter faster, the results start to compound. It's pretty much rocket fuel for your progress. That's just one of over 70 resources inside the club. We cover different rooms, systems, onboarding family strategies, and so much more. Come join us at katyjoywells.com/cluttercureclub, and I'll put that link in the show notes too. Thanks for being here today, my friend, and I'll see you next week. You know what to do. Ready, set, declutter. Ready, set, simplify. Let's do it, y'all. Bye.